Hi, Fems. Happy Wednesday. It is our Wednesday Wisdom segment, I was going to say, series. I am Violette de Ayala. I'm the founder of FemCity, and we join you guys every Wednesday, and I invite beautiful, inspirational, motivational guests to join us. And today's conversation is all about sales. We know that it is 2021. It's a better year already than 2020. But we want you to make more money. We want to talk about sales. We want to help you generate more sales and revenue. You can see the panelists and agreeing like, yes, yes, yes. So I've asked 3 of our FemCity Global members that are actually also our experts to join us today and talk about sales and real actionable steps. If you're joining us live, feel free to join us in the conversation. You can add comments here. If you are joining us in the replay months from now or years from now, do not feel like you have missed out. You can always reach out to our panelists or to myself. Our intention is always to help you. We want to see you make more money. We want to see you more successful so you can design and live the life you've always envisioned for yourself. So before we get started, we're going to go in alphabetical order. I'm going to have our guests introduce themselves, and then we're going to go ahead and get started. So Bailey, B is first. So share a little bit about who you are and how you're an expert in the sales division or topic.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Bailey Maldonado. I am the founder of Honeybee Group, which is a boutique copywriting agency, and I am also a business strategist and consultant. I have 6 years of corporate sales experience ranging from B2C, B2B, hospitality, selling and buying multi-million-dollar hotels across the board. And then recently I built my own copywriting agency from the ground up, and I am just super excited to be here with you.
Thank you so much. And Bailey, I've known you for a while. I didn't even know any of that about you. That's incredible. It's incredibly impressive. Yeah. Every day I see you, I didn't even know that. So fantastic.
I should talk about it more. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Let's go over to Kim. Kim, share a little bit about yourself as well and your background when it comes to sales.
So Bailey, great introduction. I heard you the other day, and today, love it. So I'm Kim Thompson Pinder, the Extraordinary Word Ninja. I'm Chief Visionary Officer of RTI Publishing. I'm the host of the Author to Authority podcast. And if that were not enough, I decided to turn my crafting hobby into a business with the Entrepreneur Emporium. I work with entrepreneurs, professionals, speakers, and coaches to ghostwrite, produce, and publish their signature book that they use as a foundational marketing tool to build their business and to promote them as the authority in their niche. And, I have sold, I don't know the exact number, but it's somewhere between 100 to 200 complete book packages that range in the thousands of dollars. And so, I can speak to it. And this is from someone who used to not be able to sell her way out of a paper bag. So, if I'd gotten kidnapped and, someone put a gun to my head and said, sell me something, I wouldn't have lived. So I can really relate to people who struggle in sales. And I love to encourage and teach people some of the simple things that I've learned that have made the difference in my life.
Love that. Thank you so much, Kim. And Nicole.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nicole Colwell. I am founder of Strategian. I am a business strategist and executive coach for entrepreneurs. I have about 25 years of experience in sales and business development coming from the tech world, deals that were in the tens and hundreds of $1 million up to $1 billion. So I've seen the good, the bad, the ugly in sales, and I've seen the big deals, and I've also worked very hard on the small deals, which sometimes can be more difficult than those massive big deals. So.
Yeah, thank you so much. So for Fems that are watching us now, I know a lot of our members say, you know what, I'm not a salesperson. I just love being creative, or I love creating content, or I love being of service. And so they kind of have this bad feeling when it comes to sales, but they perhaps realize that sales is a huge component of generating revenue. But there's that kind of feeling that it's icky. I don't want to be spammy or salesy, or how can I even, think about sales? Like Kim said, it's not in my nature. Like I have no idea how to even do sales. So we're going to talk about that today. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. I'll ask our panelists on your behalf. We want you to go ahead and really generate a lot of revenue. That is one of our focuses for 2021 for our FemCity members, is to help them to go ahead and develop more revenue for their business, add more money in their pocket. So my first question to you guys is, because this is the question I hear all the time, it's the pandemic, we're kind of coming out of it, but I don't know if I can really increase sales. I know we had more of that question in 2020, where people felt a little guilty to work on their business and they felt like there's no money to be made, there's nothing going on, everyone's shut down. So my first question, which sounds very silly, is that can we increase sales in 2021? And my intention is to make sure that those femmes that are doubting it realize there is money to be made in 2021. So we'll go Bailey, Kim, and Nicole.
So absolutely, 100%. So something, I actually jumped into building my own agency in 2020 at the peak of the pandemic. And I was able to build it in 2020 to a $45,000 agency with only like 90% profit, revenue straight to my pocket. So yes, it is 100% possible. I was brand new to entrepreneurship and I did it. So the way that I did it was focusing on those daily impact tasks that are necessary in order to be successful with sales. So those are going to be your outbound messages, conversating with people with the right intentions, right? Direct messaging people, again, with the right intentions, with the making sure that you're not selling without being asked to being sold to, right? So when somebody says that they have the problem that you solve, then approaching it from the sales aspect, but focusing on building those relationships, right? Networking and coffee chatting regularly, speaking, content, and visibility. So those are the other pieces to that as well. So when you start doing those daily impact tasks and start prioritizing them, then you'll start to see that you get the snowball effect. It starts to build, and you'll start to see that you get referrals that come in. You get people who recommend you regularly. You get more reach because you're speaking in different places, and your sales increase. From all of that, you'll start getting booked up. So just focus on those daily impact tasks, because if you do, your revenue will come, your sales will come.
I love that. And I think that a lot of times I know some of our femmes will say, okay, I just started a new business and I sent out one email and nothing happened. So that's it. I'm going to quit. I'm just going to give up. So I love that you mentioned over and over, like, it's a repeated series of action steps. There's money to be made. Kim, what are your thoughts?
Two thoughts. First of all, with the pandemic, a lot of people are doing a lot less. So the truth is there's a lot more disposable income that's out there to be used. Why do you think online shopping has gone through the roof? Because people are at home. They're not doing much. They're not doing the things. My chiropractor, he loves to go to the bars. He hasn't been to a bar in his years. He's like, I've been saving so much money. I can't believe it. Why? Because we're not doing the things we normally do. So dispel that myth that the money's not out there. Do you know that people got massively rich during the Depression, which was way worse than what we have now? Because they knew that there was people out there with the money. It was just a matter of finding them. So that's point number one. Point number two is understanding that the sales cycle is about 90 days. So what you're doing now, you'll really reap and see the results of 90 days later. So if you want to increase your sales, have that consistent action. Those things that Bailey just said were incredible. Go back, watch the replay, write down those actions, because if you do those things for 90 days consistently straight, it's not that you won't get any sales in those 90 days, but by the end of those 90 days, you're going to start really seeing a ton of results. So always be thinking what you're doing now is planting a seed for 90 days ahead.
Love that. Yeah, the pipeline, filling that pipeline. So what my first business, it was a personal training business, 1994, 1995. And a woman that I babysat for who was very successful already, she was like, Violet, as you get that one client, you got to keep going out there. Because you have a tendency of going, well, I got that client. I can just sit here. I got that client. But she hammered it into me. She's like, you got to get out there and keep on going, like fill that pipeline. Because like you were saying, it takes some time for it to come through. Nicole.
Yeah, so those are great. I completely agree. In sales, whether you're in the corporate world or you're on your own, you need to have a pipeline. You need to be forward thinking and planning. Consistency. Agree with you, Bailey. That is key to your success. Showing up consistently on time. And also, I think it takes more touches to make a sale too. It used to be, they would say, 5 to 7 times in front of someone. Then it became a little bit more. Now, I think I saw a stat the other day that said you need 53 touches because we are bombarded with information constantly. When I did a launch last year, one of them in particular, I had people say, when does your program start? And I said, it's already over. And they're like, what are you talking about? I didn't see anything on it. And I was like, I sent out stuff constantly. How did you not see it? But if you go to your Instagram, you might be following 1,000 people. You're going to miss stuff. Algorithms change constantly. So I think that is really important. The pipeline and the consistency that both of you touched on. But I also think too, don't make it all about the sale. And that's one of the things. I went in and talked to companies last year about what to do when sales were down or when business was slow. And I actually last week had somebody call me saying, I was in one of your talks last year and you said, don't make it all about the sale, make connections with people. In down times, it's a really good time to just reach out, make a personal connection and make it heartfelt. Don't, not deceptive or anything, but really say, how are you doing? How did you do with the storms last week in Dallas or a couple of weeks ago in Dallas? Or how are you doing with the pandemic? Are you looking forward to spring break? Or your kids back in school? Whatever the case may be, doesn't have to be about the sale. It can be making those relationships because maybe they're not in a buying position now. They might be later, or a referral might come out of it. When that person called me, they said, I took that advice and not only did it help my sales, but I made some really good friends out of that process. So I think that is one of my number one tips. Don't always make it about the sale.
Yeah. You remind me so much, Nicole, of a friend of mine who was running a big, huge hospital here in Miami and the foundation for it. And she would get like these checks that were like millions and millions and millions of dollars. And I've never received a million dollar check. So I asked her one day, I'm like, what is that like? Like, how does that happen? How do you get someone who like just writes you a $30 million check? What's that all about? And she said, at the end of the day, it's that we have formed relationships with these people. We have continuously reached out to them. We've been a part of their life. When it comes down to, them, either creating their estate or their will or, kind of like having this ability to donate, it's the first person they think of because that relationship is there. So that the relationships and human connectivity is everything, totally. All right, so I'm sure some femmes want to know, what is your best tip? I know, Nicole, you shared a really good tip right now. Actually, you guys all shared really good tips. What is that one tip that femmes can start doing today to increase sales that is also not what they would consider salesy? Bailey?
Yeah, I like to say, focus on building your centers of influence, right? So thanks, babe. So centers of influence within your business. So that could be joining a networking group like FemCity and creating those relationships that Nicole just talked about and having those touch points. It's maybe building a community in a Facebook group and providing a ton of value to them. Maybe it's building your own inclusive mastermind network, having that place where you're known as a leader. So starting to set up those centers of influence so that you can not only position yourself as a leader and give a ton of value, but you can also be the go-to. Like Nicole touched on, and being that person who's the front of mind, right? Who's all constantly reaching out, who isn't making it all about the sale, because you're really there to build that connection. So I would say focus on building those centers of influence for yourself and for your business.
Love it. We have some love coming in from Martine, who actually used to be a FemCity Miami femme, and now she's a FemCity Provence in France femme. So she says, I love this topic. Very important. Absolutely. And you know what? The more we talk about it, the more it becomes normal, and women realize it is not salesy. It's not icky. You can do it with heart. You can do it with love and purpose and intent. Kim, what's your advice?
So I want to talk about giving value and being able to sell one-to-one. So many times we get this shiny dream that, you can just post somewhere and all these sales come in. And Nicole said it when talked about relationships. But when you're developing that relationship, it's about providing that value. It's about showing that person that you are that trusted expert. And that's through having conversations. And yes, it does transition into a sales conversation. But in the beginning, just focus on giving value. Focus on finding out what their problem is and talking to them about it, sharing with them. One of the things that's been really successful for me is the fact that I love to talk. So whenever I'd go to a networking event and people found out I was a publisher, they would just start asking me questions. And I always answered them. I'd have these wonderful conversations. I'd answer all their questions about publishing, about book writing, all of that kind of stuff. And then, usually what would happen is after that conversation, I'd say to them something like this. Listen, I was thinking about the problem that you have, and I've got a lot more that I want to share with you, but obviously, there's not enough time at this networking event. Could I get your number or your email address? And very calm, I don't care attitude, right? Can I get your email? Can I get your phone number? I have some additional thoughts I would love to share with you. Do you know 9.5 out of 10 people hand me their email and phone number and don't even think about it? I book a time with them, usually right on that spot. And then we have that conversation. And I always come up with some really great specific ideas and things that they can do based on the conversation we have. So, after that conversation, I take good notes so that, when I have that conversation, I can give them something valuable. And then, as that conversation goes, if it's going really well, I will transition it into a sales conversation and just ask them if this is something they're interested in. So don't be afraid to have those conversations, and don't be afraid just to really give something of value and put the other person first.
Yeah, and I think that's an excellent point, Kim, because so many femmes have said, specifically the ones that are starting out in business, well, if I give them all of my tips at a networking event or on a phone, then they're not going to hire me. If I give them everything, they're not going to hire me. So I'm glad that you mentioned that, because it's about building relationships. At the end of the day, they're not going to become publishers like you. You're still going to be the expert. All three of you, you're always going to be the expert in that. And so people eventually will end up hiring you or referring, or ideally both. I love that you guys mentioned, posting one marketing piece and then not having the sales come through that summit that you guys all took part in on Monday, we promoted that all over the place. It's a free summit. We had it everywhere. Do you know, we had members that were like, how did I not know about this? How did I not know? So that was social media. We posted on email marketing. We posted on the Facebook groups. We posted it. We even got into some newspapers and magazines, but like Nicole was saying, if you follow a lot of people or you've got a lot of messaging around, it's really hard to stand out when you have that really great message to share. Nicole, any thoughts or advice that you want to share?
Well, I think that's such a good point, Violet. And we need to figure out how to stand out, right? And so make sure that we're focusing on our ideal clients, niching down, all of that is really important. But I think a lot of people feel icky about sales because I don't know. I think, we hesitate on it, just like I'm doing right now. We hesitate on asking for the sale. And I think that's because we're so uncomfortable with it. But I tell a lot of my clients, we're all in sales, right? If anyone has kids, haven't you sold them on eating broccoli or something that they don't want to eat, right? And it's because it's coming from, the heart. It's because you're adding value to them. This is what you're doing. If you have a service, if you have something that you're offering, that you're selling, somebody needs that. And if you change the way you look at it, realize that this is something that somebody desperately needs out there. It really changes the way you look at sales. You're providing a service for them, something that they need. You're filling a gap or a void. And I think looking at it a little bit differently can help get over that, it's an icky thing to sell, right? Because you're providing something that people really need. Oh, you're on mute.
Thank you, Nicole. I've been doing that all week, talking for, a couple minutes and then realizing I'm on mute. Final advice, and how can femmes find you to learn more about the work you're doing in this world, Bailey?
So I think my last thing that I'll say is just go into sales with the right intentions, right? So we don't ever want to push what we offer onto people who do not need it or who it might not be a fit for, because then a couple of things can happen. One, you might not be happy servicing those people, and two, they're not going to get the results that they want because it wasn't a good fit. So make sure that you're going into sales with the right intentions and really truly to help people solve their problems, to reach their goals. And then you'll see that it becomes so much easier from there. And then where you can hang out with me, you can follow me on Instagram. So it's Maldonado Bailey, my last name, then my first name. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Bailey. Kim, final advice, and where can femmes find you, learn more?
So if you know your target market and you hang out where your target market is, selling becomes really easy because they already want what you have. So that's my last quick tip. I love to give away value. And in my Entrepreneur Emporium store, I just had designed a bunch of motivational quote coloring sheets. So if you go to the entrepreneuremporium.com, go to the motivational coloring sheets section, add whichever one you want to the cart, put free CS in the checkout, you will get a free coloring sheet. And I will put that all in the links and everything in the comments below this.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kim. Nicole.
Yeah, so such great tips. I think we've covered so much about sales. Just get comfortable with it, enjoy it, try to look at it a little differently, and it's going to feel good. Come from a place from the heart, right? And know that you're providing something that somebody needs, and it'll change everything for you.
And how can femmes find you? Oh, I think it froze. Did everyone freeze or just Nicole? I think it's just Nicole.
I think it's just Nicole.
All right, so I'm going to do it for her. NicoleCalwell.com. Her company is Strategene, and you can also find her on the FemCity website on teachers and speakers. She's one of our experts, along with, of course, Kim and Bailey as well. Thank you so much for joining us today. Again, if you're watching this on the replay, feel free to ask questions. We want to see you succeed. And to learn more about FemCity, head over to FemCity.com. We invite you to check it out for 30 days for free, and we'll see you guys back next week. Thanks so much. Stay, guys. So much to get a picture.